All right, hey people, today is May 15th, 2024. It's about 5:14 a.m. This is Chris Lucas. Basically, I just got off work, right? Someone tells me about these videos Jamie Russell's making, right? To be honest, I don't watch this stuff. I don't have anything to do with him because he's got me blocked. I don't even know when he's in live chats, okay? Because he has me blocked. So there's no point in going to his channel, right? Um, if someone ever blocks me, I don't want to have anything to do with them. I'm a very big free speech guy. I think it's the most dirty, disgusting thing you can do to someone, unless they have to just be typing nothing but nonsense, like on purpose, like slapping the keyboard and hitting return, and just doing a bunch of annoying stuff like that for me to even think about banning someone, right? So I don't ban anyone for anything, right? But just because I don't know why he originally blocked me, to be honest, because it was 2 years ago. So I had long since unsubscribed, and I guess lately he's making some videos. I'm gonna play it live. I haven't even played it yet, but someone tells me he's making these videos. I guess this one right here, Scummy. I haven't even watched this.
Imagine finding yourself looking online for ways to try to hurt people.
Let me play it. I would put it in fast speed just to get it over with, but oh gosh. But anyway, I guess he's making these videos and he's making accusations. I think I watched part of this when this guy King James Only posted it. And it's basically where he'll slander me, make up things I never said, never believed in. And I don't do that to him, but he does that to me, right? Just like with this recent thing, where someone pointed out that he's got this post where he says I made 10 dummy accounts, right? He wishes, right? He wishes I did that. But I don't usually like this is what this idiot. Well, you know what? I'll let him play it in his words. And
imagine finding yourself looking online for ways to try to hurt people. Right? Like, Chris, you forgot that you told me you've done this. You have like 10 accounts that you use. And then you told me your conspiracy theory about people, you think people do this to you. And so you're striking at me like, you think I don't know that's you when there's 10 subscribers in one day?
Dude, I've never had a conspiracy theory where someone subscribes to me with 10 accounts and then unsubscribes. No, there's no conspiracy theory. Are you nuts? Are you absolutely nuts? Where did you even get this? See, this is where people are real crazy when they make up things like this that never occurred. No, dude. I do comment. Like before my videos, I even have videos. I already know people are going to unsubscribe because I talk about such a wide range of subjects, and people really be so psyched up about one thing I'm talking about because I cover it so well. But when I expose maybe some pet belief they got, they suddenly just get so mad and unsubscribe, right? I don't really worry about subscribers. So that's something I never cried about, okay? Because I generally think if my account grows, I might be doing something wrong because there's just not that many people that are looking for the truth, right? That's just the way it is. So if my account grows too much, because basically I hope to lose about 40 subscribers a month, right? Because that means I'm saying just enough to where I'm bothering people and I'm speaking enough truth, right? So that's kind of like my barometer anymore. So I don't worry about subscribers.
And then all of a sudden 10 subscribers quit in one day. Did you read about that online, that would somehow undermine my channel? Because it would look like a bunch of people are leaving my channel, so it would hurt the algorithms or something? Because you think people do that to you because you're a conspiracy nut? And you think I don't notice that after?
He called us conspiracy nut, dude. This is a wild conspiracy. And by the way, yes, I got 10 channels, but like some of them, can I even operate any of them? I don't even know if people can see this. Okay, let me see if I can go to my other accounts. Can you see my other accounts? Okay, see this one right here? Well, I can't widen it, but it says channel removed, right? That was my original channel, and YouTube bans me because guess what? I actually talk about real things that people need to know, and I give out good information. That's why I have like some pretty smart people watching my show, right? Because it's like, even though I say some things that bother them, they still know I have some pretty interesting guests on, and I give out good information that you're just not going to find on another channel, right? All these other channels, at some point, they hit like a maximum strike, right? Because I did this like during 2021, and I kept having to make more channels because they kept getting banned, because this one got banned. So then I would make another channel, and some of my channels that got banned, or they just, what would happen is I'd have information about things going on, due to 2020, right? And I'm trying to organize things together to help people, avoid mandates and stuff. Like how can I help my family, right? Like I'm trying to do things to help people's family, you moron. So it's like I'm not sitting here like getting banned and making accounts just so I can make people's accounts grow or spy on people, you moron. Okay? No, hey Liam, go. But I'm making this because I have these channels because they keep getting banned so fast, right? Because if I bring up something like, hey, here's this thing about this vaccine you didn't know, right? Boom, channel gone. Hey, here's something that could help you in this way or help you in this way. YouTube would ban it, right? I could expose different things going on, and YouTube was like banning my channel faster than anyone. And I actually had a lot of channels. A lot of people subscribe, and they go, "Wow, this guy's so truth." Well, these guys would watch my channel and see what was getting banned, and they wouldn't do it. But then they would some of them would take the information and grow their channel with it, which it is what it is, But it's like those people, like I have no respect for them, so I'm not even gonna mention their names. But I mean, I just lost a lot of channels really fast. Like, and that's why I kept having to switch channels. All these channels, like this is like I had how many Fishing for Truth channels did I have? Because I was kicking around that name for a while. Well, I'm at number 9 here, but where's all my other Fishing for Truth channels, right? Oh, 8 of them are gone, right? So it's like I'm getting banned for good information, right? For exposing things, things that Donald Trump was doing that no one seems to know about, right? And it's like I'm like, hey, if we can just, and my channels were also about trying to do things politically, to try to help people out, right? Like I was trying to give people answers, and I was getting banned for it, right? I'm not like someone like, here's the next conspiracy theory, like this dummy thinks. It wasn't like that. Like I'm not a channel like Days of Noah and all these other channels where it's like they sit there and they're like telling you about a conspiracy theory, but they don't tell you what you can do, anything effective you can do. It's just like all they're doing is complaining about it and not giving you any kind of information that can help a person out. So it's like, and no, I did not go and subscribe to them 10 times and then unsubscribe.
Do I expose your bad thinking once again and demand you to be an honest person, and you're not willing to do it?
And when did you expose my bad thinking, Jamie? See, it's like he's got a lot of these videos where he's like, well, Chris has got really bad thinking. He got really bad thinking. His thinking is so bad. And it's like, okay, Jamie, where's my thinking bad? What is it? Can you lay out the argument and then go over and expose it? Like, see, recently I did this video. where, the Seventh-day Adventists have this Day of Atonement that's in October 22nd, 1844. And the thing about that is they believe Ellen White had a vision, and just like the high priest enters into the most holy of holies once a year on the earthly sanctuary, well, Jesus entered in on the Day of Atonement, because this is all part of the story. And that's why it has to be on the Day of Atonement, because it doesn't make sense if he enters in on another day, right? And all the Adventists will agree with this, unless you're just some dummy Adventist, right? So, I mean, they would all agree this is a pretty important date, unless they're not really unless there's some kind of clown Adventist, right? Because they know that it's kind of important, because it's kind of anticlimactic if it's not the Day of Atonement, it's a month later, because then it's like, well, why? Okay, Ellen, why didn't you say anything, right? Because Ellen White's also saying it was the Day of Atonement. And remember, she's a prophet, right? And she's tying this together. She goes, and it is the Day of Atonement, and because it is the Day of Atonement, he's entering into the Holy of Holies, and she's having this good conversation with Jesus about all this stuff, right? So, she has this vision, so you can't say this isn't an important date. It's a very important date. So, but one thing I noticed in the Jewish calendar is like, oh, wait a minute, that would mean for in that year for uh, the Day of Atonement to land on October 22nd, Passover would have to land in May. Well, I'm looking at a Jewish calendar, and I'm like, I know the Jewish calendar, right? Because I go and actually do debates against, decent people out there that are pretty knowledgeable. And so I have to know my stuff, right? And in case they try to call me out. So I can't just, half plan something out. I got to actually study it. And plus, I'm writing a book about it. And when I'm researching these calendars, because part of the reason why I'm researching these calendars is to find out when Jesus was crucified. So it's critical to know how the Jewish calendar works. So as I'm researching this, I noticed the Jewish calendar never has a Passover in May. Never. Well, for their Day of Atonement to work, Passover had to be in May that year. And so all I asked him was, hey, Jamie, you don't have to prove that it was that year that Passover was in May. Just show me one time ever in 2,000 years, one other time besides 1844 where Passover was in May. Because if this was a real thing, it would happen more than just once, right? Like, because they'd be starting other okay, it's the month of Aviv that Passover happens in on our Jewish calendar, or some people call it Nisan, right? Okay, so if it started in the middle of April, like he claims, well, then there's got to be other years where it started in the middle of April, and so there would be other years where it was in May. Passover would land in May, right? But there are none. And so another question I said was, well, in order for this to happen, you would also have to show where there was any time in history where they started the Jewish leap year after the vernal equinox. Okay, and he refuses to answer that one. He can't find it, right? So now he just gets mad because he can't find these answers because they don't exist, right? Because the Jews never kept such a calendar. And what I did was I found this Karaite, this supposed Karaite, that the Seventh-day Adventists say they got this calendar from this guy named E.S. Kalman. Well, he says he's a Karaite Jew that uses a sunrise to sunrise calendar. Red flag. Jews don't use a sunrise to sunrise calendar. And plus, you got to think, they had to talk to this guy named Samuel Snow. And well, this guy Samuel Snow is the one who's trying to research all this information to figure out William Miller's prediction and what day it's going to really land on. Well, who else is he communicating with? If he's not communicating with that, he's got to be communicating with someone. He's got to be having a letter of correspondence with someone to confirm, oh yeah, Passover was, in this month. And so the Day of Atonement is going to be this month. You got to be talking to someone. So who were you talking to? And if you were reading it out of a book, what book were you reading it out of, right? Or a newspaper? But see, this stuff doesn't exist. right? You can't find it. So, okay. And I'm not going to just assume just because we just can't find any of the written documents, though that looks pretty fishy, except for this letter of Calman. So I'm like, here's another thing. All you gotta do is just show me one other year where there was a Passover in May. So because it can't be just this weird thing where it's like one time out of 2,000 years, Passover's in May, right? No, it doesn't. That's not how it works. You just gotta show me one other time. Can't show it to me. Okay, well then maybe it never happened, right? And maybe you got the date wrong. And so see, when someone's coming to you with a vision, like if I walked up to you and I'm like, hey, I got a vision from Jesus, are you just going to believe me like an idiot? Right? You're not going to just believe me. You're going to be like, well, Chris, what's your proof? And I start telling you, and it's like, okay, Chris, that's great. You tell me your vision, but how can I confirm this? Okay. And then it's like, and then I'm like, well, I got this thing where I knew Jesus was going to, like, I'm reading about this prophecy in the Bible, and it's this date, and it's this date for this reason. But see, if you go and research that, and you're like, Chris, no, that the date doesn't land there, so you're going to be less likely to believe my vision. Why would you believe the vision if I'm not? Because it sounds to me like, remember, this is called the Great Disappointment, so it sounds like someone's a little delusional, and they're trying to what do you call that? Like console themselves or something, right? Like comfort themselves. So it's like, no, I don't tell me I believed a lie. Oh, wait a minute, I got something. Jesus, entered the most holy of holies, and this is the cosmic Day of Atonement. Right. And so she tells her, but when you start to look at this stuff, it's like, well, no, it's like, you guys, this doesn't add up. Jews never had a Passover in May, right? It never happened. And so, another thing you can show me is just one single time where the Jews start a new moon after the vernal equinox, and 14 days later, the barley's not ripe. Show me one single time that happens, right? And I don't think you can show me a single time where that happens, because that would be a reason for postponement. And I actually got something deeper here, because someone gave me this one person who's a great calendar expert. I got a hold of him today, and he gave me some information that says it's a possibility it could be in May. It's a possibility a Passover could be in May. So you should get excited, Seventh-day Adventists. Chris could be wrong until you hear what it would take. So don't get too excited when I drop that video. So basically, you guys believe in a lie, right?
That this all corresponds with that happening. Dude, it's so scummy, man. So scummy.
You know what's scummy, Jamie? When you call people scummy after you make up a conspiracy theory, saying I had 10 accounts and then unsubscribe from you, then you make a video accusing me of it, right? Slander. This is what you do. You can't answer these arguments I post about your cult. Instead, you want to get online and make videos and make up stories, right? This guy's absolutely nuts.
I've said about you is just true, and tried to be an explanation of your bad thinking to show you that you think badly and you argue badly and you don't know what a good argument is. And rather than learn from the mistake.
What mistake am I doing, Jamie? Like, don't just say, oh, he's not learning from his mistake. Bad thing. What bad thing? You've heard him say this already twice in this video without stating what bad thinking, right? This is what I'm talking about. Like this little slandering, time wasting piece of garbage, right? I'm sorry, man. Like this stuff makes me mad, because it's like, how would you like it if someone's just posting videos about you and doing this? And then he wonders why, when he does do this, 10 people suddenly unsubscribe from him. Because guess what, Jamie? I got friends too. A lot of these people, they're in some of the same chat rooms I am. And maybe they hear you and they're like, well, Chris isn't like this. And wait till they find out, man, that you're just making up all this stuff, and see how many subscribers you might lose. But I think you probably got a lot of Seventh-day Adventists, so you might not lose too many, because I mean they like lying, they like they like embracing their lies.
You go with a conspiracy theory that you think will hurt my channel. You want to hurt people that are trying to help you be more intelligent. It's really,
how are you helping me be more intelligent when you never even bring up an argument? Jamie, what info did you ever present to me? You can't just say someone's got bad thinking and all this other stuff, and yet this whole video is zero proof.
scummy.
And he's just name calling, right? What if I just got in a video and I was just like, hey, F you the whole video, right? That's just stupid, right?
I might want to check that. Just saying.
And don't you believe in like a conditional salvation, right? Where like the things you do kind of matter about being saved, and you're just going to go slander someone else who could potentially be a Christian. I know some people might not think I am. He might not think I am. But I mean, you better be sure about that, bud, right? Because you might have to answer for that. Like, why were you slandering? Why were you following this false prophet? And then you're slandering a Christian that's exposing a lie, and that you can't even defend. You haven't even attempted to defend this lie, and you're just going to attack this other Christian, and you haven't even attempted. So I'm going to go play one more video of his, because I think he's done with this one. I don't think he's got, and it's like, this is typical. This is why I'm done with him, right? Okay, so he's got this one, Chris Lucas assumption.
Okay, this, just for the sake of integrity, made a video entitled Scummy where I accused somebody named Chris Lucas,
the one I just played,
giving me subscribers and then removing them. Now, Chris Lucas probably doesn't remember this, but like a year ago, he told me he has like 10 accounts and he can like help people out and give them the subscribers.
Yeah, when okay, let me tell you something. That is partially true. Partially. I have accounts, so now it's like there's sometimes, but I have to have extra time, right? I'm a busy person. It's just like every once in a while, like, oh, okay, like I might see someone, they start up a channel, right? And I've kind of feel bad for them, and I don't tell them this normally. I just start subscribing to them, right? Because I see I got all these accounts, if they let me use, if YouTube lets me use them. But I'll take and start now. Not some of these I won't bother, because I don't want to use my kids' channel. I don't want to use, and two of these channels, I just recently got these restored, so I've really only had these top 3. So I didn't really have 10 channels. I had about 4 channels. These other channels, these are this is just like to do when I was like end up doing my politics and stuff and a few other things. Yeah. So, but yeah, so I might like take and subscribe to someone about 5 times with these extra accounts. But remember, these accounts were only because I got banned from YouTube so many times. Because for the longest time, I only had 2 channels, and it was one I was using to run for office, and then my Liquid Smooth channel. And then I think I did, yeah. So it was basically those 2 accounts. And then I started making a whole bunch of other accounts because I started getting banned so much. And actually, I might have had a 3rd account, because in 2016 I was starting to get banned too. So I think I did make one more account because I was getting banned, right? But I mean, that's all it was. It's not so I can go spy on people, you crazy person.
Okay, this, just for the sake of integrity, is somebody named Chris Lucas. Chris Lucas probably doesn't remember this, but
we already play that part.
When we were talking and getting along, he obviously forgot that he said this. And he does that to help people out.
Right, but
Okay.
what's your proof, Jamie, that I recently unsubscribed from you? This was like 2 years ago I unsubscribed from you, and you're accusing me of it now?
Chris, you volunteered that information to me. It wasn't like I asked you. You just said this when we first met.
Right, I
You
don't hide
said,
things. You can see all my accounts have my name
I
on
think
it.
I remember you saying to somebody,
You know what? One thing too, if you were to ever go to my other channels or find them, you could see that they're me. Like there's videos of me on there. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm hiding. I'm trying to pretend like I'm somebody else. It's like, no, you can tell it's me. I made videos on them.
that you can like give them a boost or whatever. You said that to me, and we were talking about how just about subscribers, and we were talking about how it goes up and down sometimes. Now look, this is so did I assume that you did this without having proof? Yes. I assume. So it's possible that you didn't do this, but here's the thing.
And you made 2 videos and you called me scummy, and you just now admitted that you assume that you did it without having proof. Listen.
This is so did I assume that you did this without having proof? Yes, I assume. So it's possible that you didn't do this, but here's the thing. It's the same amount you said that you can do that with. Okay, you just don't remember that you told me that. So I know you have 10 subscribers or 10 different accounts that you have because you said you do this. You told me, you volunteered that information. Sorry, but that's what you said. Now maybe you were lying back then. But then, so that's what I remember. I can't find, I mean, it's an old video. I don't know where it was or when it was. It was a long time ago, but you did say that. You told me that, volunteered that information. Now, as you can see on my screen, this is why I assume it was you. This is my normal sort of subscriber thing. Sometimes, I mean, I never get more than 4 in a day, almost, and at least in this period for the last 45 days. Now, look, I fluctuate -2, -1, +2, 1 subscriber, -1, -1, 0, 0, 0, -1, 1, 1, 0, 3, 2, 0, -1, 3. Now, last Wednesday, I suddenly got 9 in one day, which is crazy. Never happens. It's the most I've ever gotten. We could go back further too. It's probably the most I've ever gotten is 9 in one day. And then I make a video exposing your lies about Ellen White being racist, and make videos specifically about people who are liars like you. And then I make an even stronger ones. And then suddenly I lose 10 subscribers in one.
Okay, so he made videos about people who he's calling liars, who might not even be liars, right? Could be more slander, just like he slandered me, right? And he's been doing this whole video without proof, and he even admitted he doesn't have proof. And now he admits that he made a video where he thinks he's exposing people, he's calling them liars in the video, right? And he suddenly starts losing all these subscribers. Do you think, you moron? I mean, can you put 2 brain cells together and do a little critical thinking, which I guess you have a lot of trouble doing critical thinking, and that's why you're stuck in a cult, right? So because you refuse to do critical thinking, you probably are not putting 2 and 2 together, that you made videos probably falsely accusing other people of things, and everyone's getting sick of it, and other people know those people you were attacking. They're sick of watching you do that to other people. They're just sick of it. So you lost subscribers, Jamie. That's why you lost them. Does that make sense to you?
One day. Gain 9, expose you as a liar. And then all of a sudden I lose all those subscribers I got in one day. I lose that many. Of course, I get -1 all the time. So is it really outrageous for me to think the guy who says he has like, whatever, around 10 fake accounts?
He's such a liar. These are not fake accounts. Just slandering, right? This is slander. These are not fake accounts, Jamie. I use the and I don't even go on them. Like right now, if I was to go on any of those accounts, you would see like this notification. It would be totally full at the top. Why? Because I haven't used these channels in a while. I wish it kept track of the last day I used them, because I'd really make you look stupid, right? Because I'd go on there and show you inactive for like a long time. I have not used, and the only channel I flipped over to was my kid's channel. The other day I did a stream with him. All right, that's it.
I'd suddenly get 9 subscribers in one day and then lose all of them during the peak hours of during the weekend. They get removed. That's why I assume that. Knowing you have that, knowing I've exposed your lies in this period, and then this happens.
Oh my gosh.
So that's why I assume it's you. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. It's just interesting.
Yeah, and you go make
And
2
then
videos
I lose
about
the 10
it.
right after I come into your channel and explain to you why you're dishonest. And then this happens.
Because it's lies, Jamie, because you did a really poor job of probably explaining it. I don't know what video that was, to be honest. I couldn't tell you. He did this, what, 18 hours ago? And this video was around, what, May 8th? Okay, it looks like maybe May 8th he did this video. Dude, I don't even know what you do, because you block me because you're a coward, right? And so I can't even respond to this video because you block me. And so all my comments get deleted, because what you like to do is post videos about people, and you're a coward. So you don't like them to be able to respond. So you like to post videos and not allow them to respond like a coward. You can come on my channel. I let you post in my live comments. I let you bash me, everything. I let you talk all the trash you want on my channel while I'm doing a stream, just to prove to people I'm always fair to everyone, right? I don't hide nothing. In fact, Jamie, you know what? If you said, "Oh, I'm starting a stream," you think I would ban you? Most channels would. I'm one of the only channels that let anyone come to my channel. They can start a stream and be like, "This stream's boring that Chris is doing. Come to my channel." I'm one of the only people that do say you're planning on doing a video later on most people's channel. They'll block you, they'll get mad at you, they'll yell at you, even if you're nice about it and you didn't even mean nothing. Or you're like, "Hey, after this show, I'm going to do a video." You know what? You'll get channel operators like, you can't promote your show on mine. Dude, I can have hostile people come to my channel and be like, "I'm going to start a stream right now. Anyone want to watch?" You won't get blocked. The only thing I don't want is a bunch of F-bombs and things like that in my channel. That's all I don't want. I just want, hey, you're stating something, what you're getting ready to do. I don't care. You can even be my friend and be like, "You know what, Chris, I'm starting a stream about this and I'm about ready to do it in 10 minutes. I just thought I'd let you know on your show, or in case someone on your channel would rather watch my show." You know what? That doesn't even hurt my feelings. It wouldn't even hurt my feelings. It doesn't bother me. I only want people on here, if this is like they chose to be here. If they knew, like they were like, "Oh, Chris, I didn't know this was this other option." You know what? I'd rather have you know about that other option and go watch that, because your time's precious, and I'd rather have you just spend your time the way you want to spend your time. And I don't want to be, and also I do this because I don't want anyone to ever say, "Oh, Chris is trying to control the narrative, control the truth." I don't do that. I had that happen so many times to me. It hurts. It hurts when you have like channels you try to promote and these people, stab you in your back and stuff. Because I've been doing this for 20 years. I've had all kinds of stuff happen where it's like I helped like a channel get big, right? And I'd even go hand out flyers on the street. And then suddenly it's like, "Wait a minute, I actually helped you grow your channel. And just because I said I was going to have a show after your show, you got mad at me and you want to block me from your channel." It's like I've had people do petty stuff like that. So I'm just going to take and read one thing because I did notice something when I was going to his, and then I'm just going to probably but again, like when I'm reading his community post, he goes, "Try dealing with Adventists having have with try dealing with Adventists have written on October 22nd. Rather than running with bad assumptions, this will help you attempt to make a real argument if you can." Dude, why I that was a pretty good video I made. This wasn't What's a bad assumption, Jamie? What's a bad assumption? Jews must have Passover in May in order for your October 22nd date to work. What's a bad assumption about that? Are you a moron? Like, do you not know what words mean? See, that's why I don't think anyone should talk to this guy, because it sounds like he doesn't know what words mean. Like, do you know what the word assumption means? Do you know what the word argument means? I mean, do you know what any of these words mean? Because that's a good argument. I asked you, hey, point me to when a Jew had a Passover in May. Oh, you can't do it? Maybe your date's wrong. Maybe your prophet's wrong then. Oh, here's some more stuff. Jesus rose on Saturday. Everyone just forgot somehow. No one said anything. Also, the earth is flat. We didn't go to the moon. I don't know why he thinks the earth is flat. Right? So, and what does this have to do with anything? I don't know. I don't think we went to the moon either. But if he's trying to say, I think the earth is flat, see, this would be in more mischaracterizations of me, right? I've never been a flat earther. I've been the most outspoken person against it. My videos are gone because that was one of the things that got my channel banned, was going after flat earth and calling it a psyop. Because what it was I thought it was real weird that in 2014, I had been on YouTube ever since 2004. In fact, that's when YouTube started. I've been on YouTube since 2004. And I used to take and search and watch almost every single thing on YouTube, because at the time I didn't have wife or kids. And when I got off work, that's all I did was try to educate myself and watch anything. And I never ran across a flat earth video one single time for 10 years. And then all of a sudden, this geocentric movie is about ready to come out. And it's about a sphere Earth, and how this sphere Earth doesn't move and the sun and the planets move around it. Now, I am a geocentrist, right? And just to give you a brief idea, it's like the Tycho Brahe model, where you got the Earth in the center, then you got the sun going around the Earth, but then you got all the planets going around the sun. And someone goes, "Well, that seems weird." Well, if you couldn't tell the difference with the way the planets move from the heliocentric or to the geocentric, and Tycho Brahe came first, like all the coordinates of our solar system, he's the one who basically designed that model. The only thing Kepler did was he basically made the sun stop moving, which would require everything else to go around the sun, the way you see the model now, right? And that's all he did. So I've always been a geocentric. So but what he wants to do is he wants to mischaracterize me and call me a flat earther on purpose. So now he's just lying. But see, the Seventh-day Adventists, like I said, they like promoting a lie. So don't think that they don't like speaking lies, right? This goes hand in hand. So he likes to lie about people, make up stories, make up conspiracy theories. And see, but it goes with this lying false prophet, right? That's why he's like, she's so much like him. And that's why he's got this he's very emotional towards her, because he's like, oh yes, she lies, and I want to lie too, and I want to break the commandments too. And and because they like to break Sabbath. They see, people think they like the Sabbath, and they don't like the Sabbath. Jamie hates the Sabbath. and what he like, because I like the Sabbath. I try to keep it holy. I try not to lie on the Sabbath. I try not to bear false witness on the Sabbath. I won't follow a false prophet on the Sabbath. I won't promote a false prophet on the Sabbath. I won't promote a false religion on the Sabbath, right? These are things I won't do on the Sabbath. And I also don't work on the Sabbath either. And I let everyone rest who I can let rest, right? I don't try to make anyone work on the Sabbath. I don't work. But Jamie, on the other hand, what his church likes to do is like, hey guys, this really still is a commandment of God. And everyone goes, yeah. And then they're like, and we're going to break it by worshiping this false prophet. Because, when you promote this false prophet, what you're saying is this idol is actually speaking for God. Because you're saying like, oh no, she's a true prophet. And so now you're saying that these words she's speaking are actually God's words. So now you're setting something up in God's place because you're saying this idol is speaking for God. This is the words of God, right? Because she said that my testimonies are the words of God. So now you set her up there. Now you're promoting this thing as a lie, and that's a lie, right? So you're breaking 2 commandments so far. You're breaking commandment 1. You're breaking the commandment about bearing false witness by promoting her as a true prophet. And then your church steals from people because now this is fraud because you're pretending to be a church and you're pretending to represent Jesus and you're pretending and you're slapping Jesus's name on this false prophet's words. Right. So now you're committing fraud. Right. So now when people donate to your church under this guise of fraud, now you're committing theft. Right. So now you're breaking at least 3 commandments here. Guess what? You're also breaking. You're breaking the Sabbath. You know why? Because you're not keeping it holy by breaking 3 commandments. So now you're breaking 4. And I don't know if it's an honor to your mother and father to have someone do all this stuff, but then you would be dishonoring your mother and father. That would be another commandment. We could probably go on. But let's see here. I don't know if I'm going to go through. Yeah, okay. So here he goes again, and he doesn't just stop at one video. He keeps making other videos, making the same claim, and now making posts saying, I have a bunch of fake accounts. What do you mean by fake accounts, Jamie? Moron. Hey, Jamie, these are accounts I actually have used that YouTube has banned. These aren't fake. They still got some videos on there. You can tell it's me. How's that fake? How's that a fake account, Jamie? Do you know what a fake account is? It's an account that's like set up to where you don't let people know who you are, or you're not doing anything with those accounts. I can't help it that YouTube banned me, but see, you never say anything that goes against the government, because remember, your church likes to promote that miracle cure that came out in 2020, right? Because you guys set up a conference and it was endorsed by your Advent Health Network and your general conference, and you all said, oh, it's going to be such a good idea to promote this thing on the Sabbath day. So are you telling a lie on the Sabbath day, or do you really think this is a good thing, Jamie? Huh? Remember Dr. Fauci, who's a Jesuit's behind it? I thought your church didn't like the Jesuits, didn't trust them. Doesn't this throw up a red flag when they rush something out really fast, especially by a company that never brought something to market before, Moderna? Doesn't that raise a red flag to you? But it's okay for your church to promote this, huh? And remember, Donald Trump was also a president that went to Jesuit Fordham University, and he's signing this thing called Warp Speed. And you think it's a good idea when we see all these Jesuits? Like, I thought your church didn't like them. Why are you promoting their thing? And isn't that weird that the Pope was the first one? I'll show something real quick. 200. See, remember when the Catholic Church in 2021 was bragging about, hey, we've been having papal vaccine campaigns for over 200 years, offering rewards and punishments. Oh, Okay, I guess the Seventh-day Adventist Church just loves helping the Pope out. Yay! Like let's say it's a great thing. See, guys are frauds, absolute frauds. You're nothing but liars. You're no Protestant. That's not a Protestant when you go promote that. You know what? I think there was one thing that I wanted to play in that video. I think it's towards the end.
Maybe it's a coincidence, I guess, but I could be wrong. So it's an accusation that I can't prove. So I admit that. But I still think it was you, silly goose.
I know, because you're crazy.
Because you're just that kind of person.
Oh, see, again, and more slander. I'm just that kind of person, right? Here's this guy.
You've demonstrated that to me, dishonest. And by the way, as I've said before.
Wait a minute. When you say dishonest, isn't it pretty dishonest when you keep making these claims against someone, yet they never did it? And you keep wanting to try to push this out like I did this? Just because you're mad because I exposed your false prophet so bad, and you can't, and you don't have an answer to anything I've said?
You can't prove the dating of the Hebrew calendar. And even if you could, it wouldn't matter. It doesn't even if the Adventists got wrong the Day of Atonement in 1844, it wouldn't disprove the interpretive method of that we didn't invent of a day for your prophecy.
See how he likes to conflate things. Even if we did get it wrong, it still wouldn't disprove our interpretive method of a day for your prophecy. Dude, that day for your prophecy had nothing to do with the conversation, right? Like I'm like, pretend like that was true. That still ruined your whole thing because she said that this had to be the Day of Atonement. You want to see her own words, moron? I mean, like, you don't really seem very bright, Jamie. I know I got it right here. I think it's this. Maybe it's this one. I think it's this one. I'm pretty sure I got her words. Oh. Is it this one? Sorry, I thought it was like right around here somewhere. Oh, I think I found it. Yep, this is it. Yeah, right here. We got Ellen White's words right here. Sure seems like this Day of Atonement's kind of a big deal, Jamie. I mean, did you ever read her words? It says, as the priests enter the most holy place once a year to cleanse the earthly sanctuary, so Jesus entered the most holy of the heavenly at the end of the 2300 days of Daniel 8 in 1844 to make a final atonement for all those who could be benefited by his mediation and thus cleanse the sanctuary. So she's associating this with the Day of Atonement. That's why they calculated it the way they were. They didn't calculate it to be the 9th of Cheshvan in a month where nothing ever happens, right? No, it's no significance of the Jewish. So why would Jesus enter in that? Well, wouldn't it make more? It's kind of like, well, they got the Jews got this day where they have the Passover every year, but the year Jesus gets crucified, they have Passover, he gets crucified in the month that's not Passover, but it's no big deal. Like, that's kind of like the big deal of this. This is the thinking behind it, right? It's like, no, this has to happen in this month. Like, it's that kind of thing. Like, you don't have this Day of Atonement every single year, and the Seventh-day Adventists are thinking, no, that has to do with us and Jesus entering the most holy and fulfilling this prophecy. And it was a foreshadow. See, because they use the words type and antitypes, and they're saying, well, this is the antitype of that Day of Atonement, and now Jesus is finally entering into that after the 2300, and it's pointing to that. So it's kind of like, like how the Passover pointed to Jesus, and then Jesus gets crucified on the Passover. This is the similar thing. This is the similar thinking. So for him to say that, it's insane. Like, this is not what a Seventh-day Adventist would teach. Okay, I'm just letting you know that. Like, and I think what he is he's desperate, because when he went and looked and saw that, wait a minute, the Jews never celebrated Passover in May. That means she must be wrong. So now he's going, oh no, she's wrong, right? And now he's starting to tell himself it doesn't matter, but it does matter, because that is the equivalent of if Jesus would have got crucified on a day, like on a month later, than Passover. It's kind of like that. That's how they would think of this. You try telling her that in that day, because when you look at those words, as the priests entered the most holy once a year to cleanse the sanctuary, when did they enter the most holy? On the Day of Atonement. That's exactly what she's referring to. So Jesus entered the most holy of the heavenly, because see, the priest would enter the most holy once a year, right? So Jesus is entering the most holy of holies in heaven to cleanse the heavenly sanctuary. Why? Because the Seventh-day Adventists say Jesus's blood dirtied the heavenly sanctuary. That's right. Jesus's blood makes things dirty, according to them. So the sanctuary is dirty. Now Jesus needs to be a good boy and go clean up the sanctuary that he got all dirtied up, according to the Seventh-day Adventists, right? They'll say, Jesus, clean up your mess. You got our sanctuary. You got that heavenly sanctuary all dirty. God's telling you to go clean it up, boy. Right? That's kind of what's going on here, right? Because how else did the sins get up into heaven? That's what they said. I've already said this, and I'll do a video about that, because I want to do a whole video exposing this whole thing, the whole prophecy of Daniel 8 from their view, and show you how demonic it is. But they'll say that that's how the blood got up into the sanctuary, and it's still dirty. Heaven's still dirty. It hasn't been cleansed yet, because they got to still transfer the sins onto the goat. So no, the heavenly sanctuary didn't get cleansed. It's starting to get cleansed, according to them, because they haven't cleansed it yet, because the sins are still there, because they haven't been transferred to the goat, right? It's got to be transferred to the so-called scapegoat. So it's still dirty. So they say that, and now here's another quote from her. The 10th day of the 7th month, the great Day of Atonement, the time of the cleansing of the sanctuary, which was in the year 1844, fell on the 22nd of October. So she says the great Day of Atonement. Did your prophet lie? This is your prophet's own words. Is she lying? Because she said, this is her words. So can you at least admit that she lied? She got this wrong, Jamie? If you want to say it's no big deal, that's fine. At least admit she got it wrong, right? Because until you can find a single time when a Jew who kept an evening to evening day celebrated Passover in May, it looks like she lied. And instead of keep making videos crying and then making up lies about me and other people and just slandering everybody, and then crying and saying that, oh my gosh, you guys are all making fake accounts and unsubscribing. Really, Jamie, when you slander people. And then number 3 is, we call it the blotting out of sin that began when Jesus moved from the holy place to the most holy on October 22nd, 1844. Ellen White comments, today he is making atonement for us before the Father. See, he is making atonement. So he would be making atonement on the Day of Atonement, right? That's the whole thinking. That's the whole thing. That's why that date matters, Jamie. Now I know you're probably maybe you're a lazy Seventh-day Adventist that never read the books, and maybe that's part of why, because you're an ignorant guy, and you got me here to help educate you about your own religion, right? Because you're real dumb about it, right? Because you're kind of a lazy Seventh-day Adventist, maybe, right? Or maybe you're slow, right? So you got me here to help you out, and now we can see that she actually does think this is a big deal. So this isn't no little deal, like you just said in your video. It's a big deal. But it goes on, Jamie. See, what I'm doing is, you don't understand this video, like these videos I've been making. This is building up to something. I have a full-time job where I work 70 hours a week. I got 2 kids. I also got other important things I got to get done in my life, right? I got a lot going on. So I can't just make these things fast, but I do have a point that I'm building up to with all this, because if you start to think about this whole prophecy, because this is the real reason you're mad, and you keep saying I got bad arguments, well, go defeat this one, but you won't, right? You'll sit there cry in a video for a while. But if I really have bad thinking, just what's the bad thinking? Passover must be in May if you want the date to be October 22nd. You don't agree with that? That's not bad thinking. That's called math. It takes about 7 months to get from Nisan to Tishri, right? So and that's what it requires. You can't start it. You can't start Passover, and you can't have Passover in April, because then it would fall back to September 23rd. You need your Day of Atonement to be October 22nd. So that's why that's not bad thinking. That's just logic. And all I ask you to do is find one single time. One single time. You mean it happened in 1844, but it did not happen any other time? You can't find one single time where Jews have a Passover in May. And we can't even find proof that it even happened in 1844. We have no proof. Because I done showed you. Jason kept saying, well, why don't you look up official Karaite sources? All official Karaite sources say it was September 23rd. We can't find one. And then when I go find the one supposed Karaite you were talking to, Kalman, what'd he say? Well, he says, that rabbinical Jews reckon their time from sunset to sunset, but we reckon ours from sunrise to sunrise. This guy doesn't sound like a Jew to me. Jews don't reckon sunrise to sunrise. He does not sound like a Karaite to me. Karaites do not reckon sunrise to sunrise. People who keep observational calendars don't do sunrise to sunrise. But this is the only guy I can find that Samuel Snow was talking to, was this E.S. Kalman. There, I cannot find, and you go, well, no, it has to be one. And well, no, go find it for me then, because this is the only guy that claims to be a Karaite, and the only guy that claims to have your calendar, yet he's keeping a sunrise to sunrise day. So I mean, it's real simple, right? This is real simple. And he's like, you can even read at the bottom, I am fully convinced that Brother Miller's calculation of the prophetic periods is correct, and I believe that every Karaite Jew in this city is of my opinion. Well, he might believe it, but we can't find him. And see, okay, look at this too. Look at the top of this. Mr. Editor, I have been requested by a friend to write a few lines for your paper on the subject of the Jewish mode of reckoning time. Huh. So what? So you have been requested. Who requested you? Snow. It was Samuel Snow. A friend. That a friend was Samuel Snow. So this is, and look, for your paper on the subject of the Jewish mode of reckoning time. So this is where you got it from, probably. Because why would Snow ask you to do this, right? And okay, so maybe he's one source. Where's the other ones? I got to figure out who was keeping Passover in that day. And I would actually argue down here where it says the rabbinical Jews kept their Passover 1 month before we did, and consequently their 7th month was 1 month earlier than ours. You know what? I'm going to check that out. What was this in 1843? I am curious because he says they kept it 1 month before they did. So heave cow. Just out of curiosity. Oops. Go. We'll do 1843. What would 1 month earlier be? So 1 month earlier. Okay, so they're doing back-to-back May Passovers. Look at this. So, because he said 1 month earlier, right? So this is the rabbinic calendar of 1843. We got Nisan happening April 1st, right? Of 1843. So he says they kept it 1 month earlier. Next month's May. So they're having Passover on the 15th of May. Whoever had what Jew ever had a Passover on 15th of May? But that's what they said. This is their calendar, and it's got the same exact reckoning. Same exact reckoning, right? Because it said October 22nd. Well, you know, if that calendar is right, they got 2 back-to-back May. So the whatever Jewish group this is has a habit of celebrating May Passovers. So and also remember this. This is going to be the real crazy one right here. This isn't even a leap year for them. You see this? This is supposed to not even be a leap year because according to their calendar, they had a leap year in 1844. If I'm understanding their calendar right. I mean, or would they have had it there? I mean, maybe. I mean, if that's the case, then they have a calendar where it's almost always they always start Passover. I see. I assumed it was a leap year when I was looking at their 1844 calendar, but that would almost mean that they're always starting Passover. Like they're always starting Passover 2 new moons after the equinox. Always. Like that's their calendar. It's always 2 moons after the equinox. Because you can see this is the 2nd new moon, right? Because here's the equinox up here. Let's say it's March 20th. So this is their equinox, right? So they're gonna have their so now here's the new moon. And then they're gonna wait till the 2nd new moon after the equinox in May to celebrate Passover. Do you know how nuts that is? I asked you just to find one time it happened in May. We found you guys assume there's some Karaite group that's got the true calendar. See, this should really strike at what kind of experts you are at prophecy and everything. When, first of all, it looks like you're communicating with the Jew that keeps evening to evening. Now we're seeing this crazy Karaite calendar that says it keeps it 1 month ahead of the rabbinic Jew. So I'm looking at a rabbinic Jew calendar, and we can see where he said it's going to be the next month out, and they're continuously starting in May, or having Passovers in May. Like this starts to look real bad because if that's the case, this calendar. You should see if this is the real calendar. Some Jews should be keeping. Why isn't any Jew keeping it today? If this is the real calendar, I mean, just face it, man. You guys got caught in a lie. You believed a lie. Just walk out of the church. It's like, like, you know what, Jamie, when I met you, I wasn't trying to bash you. I did not know you were Seventh-day Adventist. I thought you were just some guy that kept Sabbath. And you know what? I wanted to help you out, and I wanted to like partner with you, because I was like, yeah, we need to try to get these people out of this church, and go, because that's my thinking is, let's try to get them out of this church, and so we can get them into like a real Sabbath keeping church that's not, doesn't have this false prophet heading it, right? And doesn't believe these lies, because this is a whole bunch of bad thinking. Not to mention your if you look at the Greek interlinear, I mean, how is this like how's this bad thinking too, Jamie? Because you go, oh, you got really bad arguments. But please address the calendar argument first. If you're going to address any argument in this video, address that calendar argument first. But you don't have days. These aren't days. See, I know you see this word days here, and you're like, oh, days, days, days. I see it. See, you. No. This is the Hebrew word for morning. It's not days. The King James translates it as days. But it's not the word days. It's evening, mornings. That's what Arab Bokur is. 2300. All right. We don't have an Arab Bokur for a year prophecy anywhere in the whole entire Bible. And in fact, if you just were smart enough to look a little bit earlier, it says, how long will the vision... Oops. How long the vision of the daily... What's the daily here? You don't mean like every day, right? You don't mean like daily what? They called the daily sacrifice the daily. Ask any Jew this. Ask them. Say, what's the ha-tamid? What is the ha-tamid? Or the tamid? What is that? And they'll be like, oh, that's the daily sacrifice. Okay, so, but they call it the daily. Yeah, they call it the daily. That's right, Jamie. They call it the daily. See, you wouldn't say the daily day. What is the daily? Because it's already a day, right? So you would obviously put two and two together and go, oh, they must be talking about the daily sacrifice. This is how long will the vision of the daily and the transgression of desolation, the giving of the sanctuary and the host to be trampled underfoot. And he said to me, evening, Arab Bokur. And so if you look at Exodus 28, Numbers 20, or Numbers 28, Exodus 29, and I think Ezra 3, they talk about a daily the daily sacrifice, and it's referred to as the Arab Bokur, because you had an evening and a morning sacrifice. Previous verse, it's talking about the daily. So the next verse, it's like, how long will the vision be concerning the daily sacrifices and the transgression of desolation, the giving both the sanctuary and the host to be trampled underfoot? And so we got to think, if they're doing these sacrifices twice a day, there's a chance that this is talking about the daily sacrifice. And it doesn't matter whether you go, well, Chris, I think it means 23 days of evening morning sacrifices, or whether you say it's 1,150 days of these evening morning sacrifices, right? 2 sacrifices a day, 1,150 days would be 2,300 sacrifices, which is what I think it is. But even if you want to argue that no, it's probably 2,300 days of these sacrifices, but with God saying evening morning, I bet you we need to see evening morning occur, right? So it's only talking about 2,300 evenings and mornings. So whether you want to say that's combined or separate, right? It's not talking about days. It sounds like God's being really clear. If it's not talking about the sacrifice, he probably means a literal day, because, only a day has an evening and a morning, right? Because a season's got 4 seasons to it. But there's a day, typically you think of a day as having an evening and morning. So it's got to probably be an evening and morning. It sounds like God's trying to be real clear with us. Simple as that. So when you, and see, the reason why I was doing these videos was when you add up the fact that the prophecy doesn't say days, and there's also nothing, even if it did say days, there's nothing in the prophecy that would even tell you it should be, now let's change it to years. There's nothing in the prophecy. You have to put that assumption onto the text because it doesn't say it anywhere. So you have to add that assumption into it. Now, when you also got this woman who, so we're already seeing how you got to play with the text anyway. And what it was at the time they're using a King James Bible, and the King James took out the words evening and morning, and it put in the word days. And so it put 2,300 days in it. And so that was already like a mistranslation by the King James because they should have left it alone. But now you're taking this Bible that had a mistranslation in it, and now you're going to make a prophecy out of it. But now we can see that it doesn't even have the word day in it, right? So if it doesn't have the word day in it, and that looks wrong, and it looks like it's something that could have been fulfilled by Antiochus Epiphanes, since this is talking about a Greek kingdom, right? And then it gets split into four, and then we know there was one of those kings out of the four that went and persecuted the Jews very severely and did almost exactly like this prophecy says. So why not believe it's that, right? And God got prophecy correct, and let's say, wow, that's amazing prophecy by God. And even professors who are atheists think that this is history written after the fact. So why fight the atheist when all you got to do is say, no, I agree. This looks like history. Don't fight them. Use this to try to help an atheist become a believer instead of, no, I'm gonna take and make people doubt the Bible. And no, instead use this to help an atheist believe the Bible by saying, okay, I agree with you. It looks like history written after the fact because it's so accurate. But now we're going to analyze the text, and I'm going to show you how this had to be written almost 500 years or about 400 years before it actually happened. A couple of hundred years before it actually happened. Can I show you that? And so that would be that's amazing, Then you might convert the atheist because you might give them something to think about, like, whoa, yeah, that is kind of odd. It shouldn't have been written in that style with, in this particular way, talking about these particular details. That is kind of weird. You might save that person's soul, right? There's no reason to take this prophecy and try to say it didn't happen, right? And then it's like when you, on top of it, when you got some little girl who says she's got a vision, which is, come on, let's not just believe every little girl that's 19 years old and has a vision. And then, and it looks outlandish, right? And we know they just got this great disappointment. So might be a little delusional, right? They might be very emotional, and they might try to make themselves believe something like this. They might be prone. Did you ever think about this? After a great disappointment, they might be prone to believe something like this. Okay. And now when we also look at this calendar being wrong, and we start looking at like all these pieces starting to fall apart, it's like, let's not believe this thing. How about that? It doesn't look good. This isn't bad thinking. Who has bad thinking? This isn't, I mean, this looks like reasonable thinking, Jamie. And you think this is bad? And you're going to make slanderous videos against people when this looks like a pretty sensible presentation? Right? I mean, that's all, man. I'm just kind of tired of it, dude. And I'm not going to really respond to you again because you're not worth it because you never bring anything to the table. Right? You don't, all you do is say bad arguments. You can't just keep calling people's arguments bad arguments. Do you see why my argument has some weight to it? Erev Boker, evening, morning. It doesn't say day, so you can't do the year for day prophecy. You can't say, well, I want to change it to days. Okay, go change it to days. Now I want to change it to years. No, you can't do that. I mean, you can think, okay, because there's an evening and morning here, it might be a day. Okay, that's fair. You could maybe say 2,300, and it means an evening morning is 1 unit, right? Evening, morning, 1 unit. Evening, morning, 1 unit. 2,300 of this 1 unit. Now, me personally, I think it's 2,300, and it's a combination of evenings and mornings, right? So that's why I only have 1,150 days. But look, let me go ahead and okay, let's assume you can count this as 1 unit, right? Evening, morning, evening, morning, evening, morning. I don't have a problem with you saying 2,300 evening mornings. And that's also the same as 2,300 days. Good, fine. But when you want to take and say, now I want to change you don't get to change the words. The words are still here. You can say that this means days, like 2,300 days, but you don't get to change this to days and then change days to years. You see what I'm saying? Like, why do you get to make 2 changes? Show me any place else in prophecy where you got to make 2 changes, where it gives you a time unit and says this is going to happen in so many hours, and then it winds up being years, right? No, you change it to days, and then you change it from days to years, right? You don't do that. You don't go, or it says 5 nights, and you get to change 5 nights into 5 days, and then you get to change 5 days into 5 years. Where else do we do this? Where we see this like triple change, right? Like, you change it from one thing to another, right? Where do you see this just to make a prophecy work? You don't see it. So that's what you would consider a good argument, Jamie. Do you understand the difference? Right? That's not a bad argument. It's like, it's not in the text. So let's not throw assumptions onto the text. May Passover. Jews never had a May Passover. That's not bad thinking to go, well, that date must be wrong. This is called critical thinking. He might be scared of his prophet. She did say some stuff. Because, see, his parents might be bad parents, and they might have said, if you lessen the confidence of God's people and the testimonies he has sent them, you're rebelling against God, Jamie. You will believe Ellen White's documents. Do you understand? He might have grew up like that, being abused like that by his parents and brainwashed, right? So, I mean, I'm gonna, I mean, I'll give you some benefit of, but Jamie, regardless, because I've been around some very abusive people that were abusive to me, so I know how it can be, man. But here's the deal, Jamie. That I had to tell those people, no matter what kind of crappy childhood you had, you can't just keep taking it out on people like that. You can't keep taking it out on me, and you shouldn't take it out on other people, right? And so I don't care what kind of stuff they did to you. This is up to you whether you want to critically think or not. I'm telling you, this woman, she has every right to have the confidence loosened in her testimonies. And she says, the testimonies are unread and unappreciated. God has spoken to you. So when she says testimony, she's talking about her writings, and she's saying God has spoken to you. So it's like she's God. So you got to think, when we bash Ellen White, we're bashing Jamie's God, because, see, he thinks those words she wrote actually came from God. He doesn't know that it actually came from her. So he's thinking she's God, right? And she's a false god. She'll never save you. She's probably burning in hell, to be honest, man. I mean, I hate to think that about someone. I know that's horrible, but at some point in your life, you got to decide to stop telling lies. You had your whole life, and you go to your grave telling lies. You had your whole life. God gave you plenty of grace. There's some people that do bad things and they have a quick life. That's not very much grace. You got a lot of grace. You were alive a lot of years. You had a lot of time to repent. It might be God gave her a lot of years to live because she lived a pretty long life, right? I can't remember when she died. She lived a pretty long life. It might have been because he was cranking up that furnace, because it might be, hey, you got to stop doing this. This isn't me. You're impersonating me. You can't just play around and impersonate God, because you got to remember, she's impersonating God when she says, God's speaking to you. She's got all these people, these poor people believing in her and really believing this. And they're raising little children, right? Little children. And you know what's the sad thing is, when a little baby, you got a little kid, your kid doesn't think you're going to lie to it. Because see, the kid grows up thinking lying's evil. That's bad. And every time they lie, they feel bad because they've been told it's bad, and they can even understand. They understand why it's bad. Mommy and daddy would never lie to me. They love me because you're taught that no one does bad things to you if they love you. So of course they're not going to lie to you. So hey, maybe you're having a breakdown about that, but guess what, man? That doesn't give you a right to keep it going. You don't have a right to keep lying to people just because you got lied to. That's like saying just because someone got molested by a relative or something, oh, you get to molest people too. No, you don't. You don't get to do that. You don't have a right. Okay? So just because someone lied to you and got you to believe this lie, you don't have that right to lie to other people. That you're a grown adult, you can critically think. You don't have to keep lying to people. Right? But I think it is kind of sad that, people tell their children lies, and it's like they raise them up like, I'm gonna lie to my kid, and your kid sitting there trusting you, has all the trust in the world for you, has all the love in the world for you, and you turn around and you lied to them. See, Jamie, you shouldn't be getting mad at me. Go get mad at your parents. Go take this out on your parents for doing this to you, for being that scummy. Go take this out on the rest of your church that's doing that to their kids, generations of them. Abusing people. That's what this is, man. It's like people don't like being lied to. And then you get mad at me and you go and just think you're going to make these slander videos about other people. Let's see here. So she goes, these books, given the instruction that the Lord has given me during the last 60 years, contain light from heaven and will bear the test of investigation. So this is another thing she wrote in Selected Messages, Volume 1, page 35 in 1906. So she's about ready to die pretty soon right here. 60 years of this. 60 years of lying to people. She had 60 years to repent. She had 60 years of the grace of God giving her time to repent. Talking to all these people who were probably telling her, hey, this prophecy didn't come right. There was like this group that came to her. This guy named Test the Prophet shared this with me. And this is in one of their documents too. And this group of people come up to her and they're like, hey, do you remember all those names? And they did this in like right before she died, sometime around 1905. And they come up to her and they're like, hey, do you know a list of names of those people? Or do you remember all those people that were at Battle Creek when you gave that prophecy? Because she gives this prophecy about like, some will be food for worms and some will be like, some will be translated. And so she was talking about how these people in Battle Creek, they were going to live to see the second coming of Christ, basically, right? Can't remember the whole details of the prophecy. So these people about 60 years later come up to her, because almost everyone's dead by now, right? There's only like maybe 20 people alive, maybe 10, 20 people alive, and they're trying to get a list of and remember all the names, because they're wondering like, okay, how much longer can this prophecy possibly go, because there's only so many people left alive. And she goes, where are you getting that list of names for? And she was like, and you could tell like she was being like kind of harsh to him. And they're like, well, we wanted to keep track and see who was all gonna still be alive. And they're like, well, if you get that list of names, then people are gonna be watching the obituaries. And it's like, well, they shouldn't. Well, okay, Ellen. Right here, Ellen could have said, if she thought this was a conditional prophecy, you know what she should have said? Guys, that was a conditional prophecy. She shouldn't have got mad at him for making this list. She should have said, you know what? That was a conditional prophecy, and blah 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 happened, and therefore, and then just told those people it was not going to happen. You know what? No, she didn't. She never told these people that this was not going to happen, or that something happened to prevent this prophecy from happening. She died and go into the grave on this lie, right? And it's like, here those people are. Here's a perfect chance for you to set the record straight. And she just, nope, not going to do it. So this prideful person who doesn't care about other people, because this is selfish, when you're gonna like, hey, I'm just gonna keep these lies going, keep living good, because she is making money, right? She's living pretty good off of this lie. In fact, you could even say that the whole reason why she even started keeping the Sabbath might be because of money, because Joseph Bates, this guy who had some money while she didn't have much money, he was interested in the Sabbath. Well, no one was keeping the Sabbath up until that point. But hey, suddenly Sabbath keeping starts sounding good when this guy with some money wants to go keep it. So, I mean, I guess that's basically it. I think I beat this horse enough, right? I think we know, like, I'm being sincere. I'm trying to help someone. And if you don't want that help, that's fine, Jamie. But what I'm saying is, you need to stop making slanderous videos against people if you want to keep your subscribers. It might be good just to quit lying, and believing in this false religion, pushing a lie. It might be good if you also kind of read a dictionary and understood what good argument meant. Make sure you understand what those words actually mean. But yeah, I mean, I guess this is about all I got to say. It's just um, I'm trying not to be too mean here, because I mean, I realize, maybe this has to do with abuse or something, growing up. I never had a parent intentionally lie to me. And maybe you're mad about that. Maybe you're mad that, hey, these people taught you a lie growing up. Here you are, an innocent kid, and they're just feeding you this lie like it's the truth. And they probably know better. I'm not the first person that probably came to these people trying to say, hey, think about this. Why don't you critically think? And they're like, nope, not going to do it. I think there's a stubborn streak in these people. And all I'm saying is think critically and don't slander people. And later, thanks for watching. Hope it wasn't too bad.